going to play this little clip of an interview that I watched earlier today. It's between Chris Hedges and Wallace Shawn. And what this interview shows to me is how, when mainstream media is your only source of information, how propaganda fuels stupidity and ignorance. Wallace Shawn is a smart guy. Wallace Shawn went to Oxford. I mean, he's no dummy. He's written plays. He's a smart guy. But when your only source of information is mainstream media, this is how propaganda affects your way of thinking. So at the end of this interview, Chris Hedges asks Wallace Shawn, why do you think we have Trump in office? And I'm going to play this clip for you right now.
Let me just close by asking you about where we've come to as a country with Donald Trump in the White House. How did we get here? What's happened?
Well, we don't know yet exactly, but
it's not good.
I mean, it's a frightening thing. There's no question that there was a race element and a hatred of other people element in electing him, and everybody knows that, and he's a symbol of that.
Other ways, inconceivable. 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 Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Okay. No offense to Wallace Shawn, but you know what's inconceivable? It's inconceivable that Trump received $2 billion worth of free press so that mainstream media could villainize Trump, an effort of corralling people to Hillary Clinton, who nobody liked, and it didn't work. But this is not something that's talked about. Let's talk about why we got Trump in office.
I want to call out one group in particular that should have known about this and alerted the public, the media. I want to call out one group in particular that should have known about this and alerted the public, the media. If they knew there was going to be a problem, you know why they didn't tell anybody? Because they have their candidate already. Her name is Hillary Clinton, okay? That is why. Who do you think was changing all those names? Who do you think was changing all those names, okay? I know of at least 4,000 people. Okay, there's been 4,000 confirmed people that had the registration changed. Everyone that I know that had the registration changed was a Bernie Sanders supporter.
We went in, Coos County, Chicago, and Illinois Ballot Integrity took dozens of citizens into the Chicago Board of Elections to audit the audit. But what we saw was not an audit. It's supposed to be a hand count of the votes. But that's not what happened. I was watching the hand count of an early voting machine, and at the end of it, they had to erase 21 Bernie Sanders votes and add 49 Hillary Clinton votes to force the hand count of the audit of this toilet paper roll to the recommended Chicago Board of Elections official results.
These are the 5 boroughs: Staten Island results, Manhattan results, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. All of these votes are placed in a black box. This black box is an unaccountable, untestable, privately run software from the 2 companies that you have hired to count our votes. So when the votes come out of this black box, they do not reflect the New York City or the national votes. In 22 primaries, the votes have shifted in 20 of them. The exit polling data in New York State shifted 12%. A shift of 2% is fraud, according to the U.S. State Department. So that's what we've seen across the country. 1 minute left. Richard Charnon, a mathematician, has been studying election data for years.
Directly into the mic. We can hear you.
Can you hear me? I'm glad you can hear me.
I'll cut it off.
So only the developers can see the software. Only the hired contractors can see the software. It's a completely untransparent process. This software is stealing votes. I have 30 seconds. All I can say is this country can't survive much more of your kind of democracy. Thank you.
Okay, so there you have it. Trump's victory was not so inconceivable after all. What we witnessed throughout this election was blatant suppression of the American people and their choice for Bernie Sanders, Democratic Party and mainstream media bullying of the Bernie Sanders supporters. We needed to fall in line. We needed to support Hillary Clinton. And we watched that happen in real time. And so it's not inconceivable how Trump won. It's not due to racism. It's not due to sexism. It's not due to bigotry. It's because the Democratic Party and the mainstream media compromised the democratic process. And we have evidence of that. We have tons of evidence of that. This is not the domain of conspiracy theory. And this is what Chris Hedges knows. He talks about this in his books where he speaks on inverted totalitarianism, where he speaks on oligarchy. He speaks to these things, America as an empire. He speaks to these things. So let's see if Chris Hedges schools, for lack of a better word, Wallace Shawn on what actually happened in this election, why we have Donald Trump as president. Let's see what he has to say.
Is he the result of a society that has failed to examine itself?
Well, of course, because if everybody had received the same education that I've had or you've had, there's a chance that they would have seen through this kind of lying con man. I think people are smart, but they are living in a bubble of ignorance, watching idiotic television programs that are lying to them. They don't have access to the training they need to see through these idiotic claims that somebody like Trump would make. If people had, I think a good education can be a form of brainwashing if you have the wrong kind of good education. But if you have the kind that helps you to think and to be able to read a newspaper and analyze it, well, those people are not going to vote for Trump or anyone like him. And they won't think that their problems are caused by, Mexicans or immigrants. That's not true. Their problems are not caused by Mexicans and immigrants. And if they were able to analyze their, the newspaper, they would know that.
Great. Thank you, Wally. Thank you for joining us. That was Wally Shawn, author of Night Thoughts.
Okay, well, there you have it. Did anybody hear Chris Hedges or watch Chris Hedges check Wallace Shawn on his misinformed idea of why we have Trump in office? No.
So you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion. I'm not going to be channeling my husband. My wife, now the Secretary of State, was known to commune with Eleanor on a regular basis. And so she called me last night on her way home from Peru to remind me to say that Eleanor had talked to her and reminded her that I should say that.
What difference at this point does it make?
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, the choice for working families has never been clearer.
Remember landing under sniper fire. There was no greeting ceremony, and we basically were told to run to our cars. Now, that is what happened.
I need your help to get Donald Trump's record out to everybody. Nobody should be fooled.
Okay, I'm sorry I put you guys through all that, but oh my God, I just think that's so hilarious when she says, I am not going to be channeling my husband. And then you've got this clip of I'm not a fan of Bill Clinton, but you gotta admit it's hilarious. He's standing up there in front of these people, and he has to specify that my wife told me to tell you this. She called me from Peru for me to tell you that she frequently channeled the spirit of Eleanor Roosevelt while she was when I was president. And there's that one lonely clap at the end where everybody's sitting there like, what the fuck? And it just tickles me to death.
Eleanor had talked to her and reminded her that I should say that.
It just cracks me up. I get so tickled at that shit. But it brings home a point, doesn't it? I mean, Chris Hedges, he spoke about inverted totalitarianism. He spoke about, manufacturing consent, which is, Noam Chomsky's also spoke to that, of course. And then, America as an empire. We've heard it all from Chris Hedges. So it's really strange to me that Chris didn't check Wallace Shawn on this. Now, my goal is not in any way, shape, or form to insult Wallace Shawn, insult Chris Hedges. That couldn't be further from my goal. My goal is to kind of point out a problem that we have, and that is what we're witnessing. Wallace Shawn very articulately explained, better than I can, what happens with people. When he says that people only get their information from limited sources and they lack the ability to critically think. Basically, media tells us what to do. And if you only get your information from one source and you don't get it from multiple sources and come to your own conclusion, then you're towing the line. And what's so ironic is we're seeing Wallace Shawn do what he's complaining about others do. That is what's supremely ironic. But, Wallace Shawn's by no stretch of the imagination alone on this. This is something that we all struggle with. And I just wanted to bring that point home because what we have right now with mainstream media is they're selling us that Donald Trump is Russia got Donald Trump elected. It's everybody but the Democrats, everybody but the media. But the media and the Democratic Party, while they're finger pointing, they're actually the ones to blame. They're just trying to divert attention off of them. They're the ones to blame. I mean, we were given a lesser of two evil choice in this election. Yet again, it happens every election cycle. And, whether it's the establishment or deep state or whatever the hell they want to call it, we were given two choices. We were given Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and nobody likes Hillary Clinton. She doesn't want to admit that to herself, but nobody likes her ass. We can't stand her. She's a pathological, lying, corporate shill warmonger. You can't dress that up pretty. And the more she and the mainstream media and the Democratic Party tried to bully people into supporting her, the more people ran away. They don't want nothing to do with her. All the correct the record trolls in the world was not going to change that. All of the fear-mongering Trump wasn't going to change that because people could see Hillary for what she is. And, it's just... I hate it when they start painting this narrative that we're all racist, that we're all bigoted, that we're all sexist, and that's why Trump's elected, because it puts the finger back on us. And we start blaming each other and pointing the finger at each other and battling with each other over something that really isn't our fault. you know, I'm sure there were a few bigots that voted for Trump. Undoubtedly. Bigotry and racism exists in every nation. But I know of people that voted for Trump because they just hated Hillary Clinton that much. They didn't like Trump. They just hated Hillary Clinton. They did not consider her the lesser of two evils. And I personally, I did not support Trump. I did not support Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for either one. But I know of people who did vote for Trump because they hated Hillary that much. And you can't blame them. I mean, watching what the Democratic Party did to Bernie Sanders supporters, watching what happened with that, you can't blame them for running away, running the opposite direction. I mean, they practically shoved them in the opposite direction and then come back and say, oh, we got caught. Oh, fuck, we got caught. We're sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I take that back. They have never apologized. They have never accepted accountability. They just say, oh, it was Russia. Come back. It was Russia. Let's give Bernie Sanders a little gopher position. Let's give him a little position with no power. Let's make him outreach coordinator because everybody likes him. Everybody trusts him. Everybody respects him. So let's make this lifelong independent, mind you, outreach coordinator for the Democratic Party and see if we can't rebuild it because we're falling. We're crumbling. And what we're watching in media is the desperate throes of that. You know, $2 billion in free press for Trump was not going to corral people to Hillary Clinton because she is just that bad. So anyway, I wanted to make this video to kind of bring light to that and open the dialogue for that. And I thank you for watching.